Welcome to r/PettyRevenge, where we share stories of small victories over those who have wronged you. Thank you guys for subscribing, likes, and comments. The first story is, the conductor thought I was 16 years old, but it's not true. The second story, petty revenge from me and my boss. The third, annoying security guy will be confused after my words. The first story is, train conductor thinks he's an expert, on my age, and also banks. This revenge was not planned, but wow was it good. A few years back now, I was part of a youth group a few towns over from my own. My family would drop me off. I'd hang around town with friends afterwards, and then get the train home. I was 14 to 15 at the time, so I still qualified for a child's ticket, but as the cutoff for those is 16 and I was traveling alone, there was a high risk of conductors questioning my age, and as my only ID was my passport, I wasn't regularly carrying it around. Thankfully, I still look about 13 now that I'm in my 20s, so most people wouldn't look at 14-year-old me and think I'm even close to being an adult. This is the time a conductor did question it and refused to believe the answer. Cast, C, conductor, and me. C, how old are you? Me, 14. C, what year were you born? Me, 19XX. C, do you have any ID on you? Me, no, sorry. C, well then I'm gonna have to charge you for a full ticket. I briefly try to explain that I can't be charged for not carrying ID proving I'm young enough. I still don't know if that's true, but it's what my parents told me, and surely given my birth year was enough, because it's enough for conductors in the past, but he smugly cuts me off. C, it doesn't matter, because I know you're lying about your age. Me, now defensive. I don't know how you can know that, because I'm not. C, pointing to something on my ticket. That number means it was bought with a credit or debit card. You can't have one of those if you're under 16. Me, no, you can. My bank has an under 19s account that you can have as young as 13. I can show you on the website on my phone if you want. C, now almost shouting and cutting me off again. I don't care about some website. You're lying about your age, and if you don't pay for a full ticket, I can have transport police arrest you. Now, I'm pretty sure that wasn't true, but at the time we were getting close to my stop, and I was 14, barely over 5 foot, and very aware of the fact that there's no one else in the carriage, just me and this large older man shouting down at me. I'm scared, so I just give in and pay. It wasn't a lot, only 2 to 3 pounds, but I was a kid, and I was annoyed at what had happened. The conductor had one parting shot. C, besides, if you're not lying, the station can refund it if you prove you're not 16. I don't think they'll believe your lie about the bank either though. And with that, he smugly walked off, apparently happy at having reduced a teenager to tears over a few quid. I was still a mess over it when I got home. My mom calmed me down and made a point to grab my passport, since we were basically heading straight back to the train station for a family night out. At this point, you might be able to see where this is going. My stop had been the last one on the train I had gotten home. By the time I got back, it had been moved onto the other track and was the next train into the city. The train we were there to catch. We sit down, and because this train is much busier than the earlier one, we see the conductor coming down the carriage long before he notices us. It's the exact same conductor. My mom has started to take out her tickets, along with my ID just in case, and is surprised to see me suddenly digging in my pockets and pulling out my tickets from earlier. All I can say is, that's the guy, but she gets the message. She smiles and looks me in the eye, and I know she's thinking the same thing as me. Eventually, the conductor gets to us, sitting with 2 piles of tickets on the table in front of us. He sees me, sees my parents, sees the closed passport, and goes white. In hindsight, he might have been scared he was about to get chewed out by my mom for daring to charge her perfect darling. That isn't what happened. C, with some difficulty. Can I check ID for the child ticket? Mom in her equivalent of the customer service voice. Absolutely. Here you go. She opens my passport. He checks it, and I could see he knew he effed up. Mom's still in charm mode. Oh, while we're here, OP was on earlier, and she didn't get to finish. C mumbled something about, yeah, I know, okay, before pulling out the money I had given him earlier. For all I know, it could have even been the same coins, and sliding them across the table to me. I don't think I've ever enjoyed a train journey as much as that one. I'm not saying he was in the wrong for erring on the side of caution when it comes to teenagers on trains. I'm saying he was in the wrong for stating for a fact that I was lying and generally being a D. The revenge is not for the fact that it happened, it was for the way it happened. Remember kids, carry ID on trains if you can, and if you can't, be ready to pay the extra, and remember to get a refund at the station. Don't do any of what I did to undeserving railway workers. This is exclusively because he's a D. Do you think this guy was running a scam and planning to keep the extra money because he still had the cash on him? When I say the money I gave him earlier, I don't mean it was likely the same cash, I just mean the full amount I had paid him. I joked that it might have been the exact same coins because the 2 incidents weren't even an hour apart. He had the same cash belt. Is that the term? I don't know on. And it was presumably part of the same shift, so I don't know that he would have cashed out between charging and refunding me. He did print off a separate ticket. The money was placed in his official work money belt. Everything was processed as far as I know. I don't think he was doing anything dodgy, just taking his job a bit too seriously, misinformed, and on a bit of a power trip. The next story is, don't want to turn stuff in? Fine, enjoy not getting paid. I work for a small company and took over doing the timesheets from the boss. How it should work, turn in your time cards, expenses, etc. to me by a certain point in the week. Ideally, this should be daily, but I quickly learned that was too much to ask. I will calculate everything and send a copy back to you. Make sure it's correct and I'll turn it over so you can be paid. Honestly, the whole process shouldn't take more than a couple of hours tops. It never effing works that way. I now completely get why the boss didn't want to do it by himself anymore. These employees are like effing children. They fully well know they're responsible for keeping receipts in SH, but come into the week it's like pulling teeth to get their information. You want to get paid correctly? You want to be reimbursed for crap, right? A process that should be simple becomes a day or even 2-day event, because jackays don't want to acknowledge I don't read minds. Heck, we even tried using an app to make it easier. Effers couldn't be bothered. We're a small company. Right before I came on, there was a company card for the employees, and someone was scamming it. My boss works overtime for his company, so I was brought in to help him make sure such details never fall through the cracks again. Once everything else was in order, he asked me for help with time cards. I caught someone turning in padded times within a couple of weeks of starting this side of the job. I haven't caught anyone else doing it, but the lax behavior of not reporting one's timesheets in a timely manner leaves me a little suspicious. Almost as if some of them need to get their stories straight with the others on each job. In my short time doing time cards, I've tried everything to make it easier for these employees. Their general opinion today was that they thought I should be texting or calling each of them daily to remind them. I laughed. If you need reminding after a long shift of physical labor or driving that you would like to be paid for it, I can't help you. Every week it's the same. So today I came up with a plan and ran it by the boss. Obviously, we had done what we usually do each week, pieced together the correct info slowly and turned it over to the payroll company. They will be paid correctly come tomorrow. Tonight, however, they've each been texted or emailed a payday stub amount, far lower than what they're expecting, all based on the limited information they provided themselves when first asked, not the additional SH I have to beg them to turn in. The boss is just going to let them stew in it for a couple of hours before explaining what the F is expected of them if they want to be paid correctly. It is small and petty, I know, but F it, it's your money. I shouldn't have to beg you to basically be paid for the work you already did. Yeah, they be losing their SH. So after last night's events, we had ourselves a meeting today. Other than the time card and payroll thing, there's been other things that the boss has been wanting to discuss about how things get done. I said my piece about what's expected, and going forward that you simply won't be getting paid that week for anything turned in late. I can't keep chasing after you guys for stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the new system. Sign in and out daily with this app or you're likely to be questioned. A mistake here or there is acceptable, but on a weekly basis is not. We also printed out all this for them to read again and had them sign something basically saying they received such info and understood. We had this app when I first started, so we re-went over how it works. I'm sure this won't be the last I hear of it, but I hope once they're hit with the reality that this is how it works in the real world, they'll adjust accordingly, or quit. The last story is, think I'm gonna rob you? I'm gonna tell on you. To set the background, I'm 26 female, but really short, and my baby face has made people ask me if I'm 15 since I was 15. Not cool, but my mom tells me when I'm older I'll thank it. Also, my workplace is really chill, so jeans, Disney shirt, and Disney Vans are my everyday clothes, and I top it with a Buzz Lightyear backpack because why not? However, my brother, 28 years old, has a baby face like me, but hides it with the beard, and he's stupidly tall, so actually looks older. I look like a teenager who's up to no good. Nothing I can do about it. I also get carded at bars, even though I just order soda. Don't drink, don't smoke, or when paying with my debit card. I'm waiting to turn 40 so I can think I look younger. The story. One of the richest men on earth owns a chain store, and there's a store almost everywhere here. I like to go in these stores because they sell almost everything without being a mall. They're actually small locations and people are always nice. One problem, security always follows me around. Take in consideration that these stores have one cashier and at least one person to help you find something in every section. So you have at least 2 people at the toy section, 2 at the book section, 2 at the video game section, and so on. The first time I went in at night, with my Buzz Lightyear backpack and dressed completely in black. The second I step in, a man in a suit starts following me around. So I make sure to walk through all the store at least 2 times, and finally turn around and ask him to hand me a book from a top shelf. When I paid, security doesn't normally make the transaction, but it was late and there were no other workers around. I did it with a bill that made him get change at the back. Paid $99 with a $500 bill. Next time, different location. I went around 4 p.m. and started looking at toys when I felt a guy looking at me, and sure enough, guy in a suit looks at me from the end of the hall. I moved to the book section and there he is again. Video games section, there he is. So I pick a few Legos, pay and left. This happens every time I go to one of these stores. They never say anything and the cashiers are always nice. It's just annoying. So last week I'm on my way home and I call my brother to tell him I'm going to this store in case he wants me to get him something. He tells me to wait for him there since he's coming with his girlfriend to buy something and we can go home together. I arrive and start looking at Switch games when I see the suit dude moving so he can watch me. I don't find anything and move to the toys section. He follows me a few steps behind. So I go to the book section, which is literally on the other side of the store, but he shows up again. I'm tired from work, and I don't need a guy following me around in a store I visit at least once a week. So I call my brother and he tells me that they're arriving. So I walk to the front of the store, feeling the security guy close behind me, and when I see my brother, I call his name, turn around and point to the security guy, and in a loud voice, but not yelling, say, "This guy's been following me around since I got here." My brother just looked at him. The security guy was red and tried to turn around and leave, but hit the video game stand. He fumbled a bit, but we didn't see him again the rest of the time we were there. My brother, his girlfriend, and me just laughed, because we're used to the situation. I was just not in the mood. Yes, I get the guy is doing his job. That's why I didn't get him in any trouble. Just tell on him, to my brother, and he only looked at him. And I'm super used to the situation. Almost every store that I walk in has some sort of security following me, but I never notice. I only know because the people I'm with mention it to me after we leave. This store security, however, appears to make an effort to make me notice, and it's annoying. Also, I can't just don't go in with a backpack. I carry my laptop to and from work, and don't plan on carrying it in my hands. And as I mentioned in a comment, I've been to that store using a suit. Grown-up clothes apparently, and they still follow me around. It's just a funny story. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.